So we were talking about the Hound. Now, I wonder if Arya had her 3 choices again for her hit list, do you think she'd pick the same people, or who do you think she'd pick?
This is the thing. At the beginning of season 3, Gendry was giving Arya a hard time about the people that she chose. But I think at the time, she kind of didn't really... I didn't really believe that this guy could do it. So she was like, oh, okay, the Tickler, this guy is, not really a great person and could do without him. So, and she realized, oh, this is kind of cool. And then there's the Amory Lorch afterwards, and that's because she really needed to save her ass, I think, and she was kind of in trouble. So, but I think, at that time, it was just, the first one was just like, a tester, and then she got herself into trouble, so she had to kind of kill those people quickly, and then she escaped Harrenhal, which was quite clever, I think. But yeah, I think, if she hadn't got herself into that mess, she would have chosen Joffrey and Cersei and Ilyn Payne, and I don't know in what order she would choose. Definitely Ilyn Payne, I think, because he seems like a bit of a psychopath. And Joffrey and Cersei, I don't know. I guess if you took one of them away, it'd be kind of different for the other. I'm not sure. I think I think Cersei without Joffrey, that would be okay. So if we killed Joffrey, that'd be good.
And we're talking about Harrenhal, right? So that makes me think, obviously, of Tywin Lannister. You were his cupbearer. Mm-hmm. How fun was it tricking Tywin?
Yeah, I think it was great. I really loved the scenes when I first read them. And then I was like, oh God, I'm going to be working with Charles Dance, And I think Tywin just thinks she's a nobody, and there's something a little bit different about her, but I don't think he really suspects that she's Robb Stark's younger sister, because she would have been in a lot more trouble then. But yeah, I think she's just kind of cruising under the radar, and then Littlefinger comes along, and that kind of she gets a bit. A bit aware that she was kind of confident in Harrenhal and a bit like, I can deal with this, and then kind of span it on his head a bit. So then she was a bit like, oh God, don't get too comfortable. There's still people out there that kind of want to get you. So it was kind of a different thing that Arya's kind of come across really. She's usually just trying to convince people that she's a boy, and now she's actually got to convince people that she's not herself, and it's it was very different to sort of have that other aspect to it, I think. And I got on really, really well with Charles Dance. And the scenes were fantastically written, and it's just nice to be a part of that, really.
Yeah, they were brilliant scenes, weren't they? I know they're not in the book, but they're superb scenes. I'm glad they were in the TV show. We actually spoke to Charles Dance the other day, and he's singing your praises very, very highly, and rightly too. But we asked him whether he thought, giving enough time, that Tywin would have realised that she was Arya Stark, and he said yes, he would have done, definitely. What do you think?
I think he's kind of wise, and eventually he would have worked it out. But I think Arya was sort of quietly confident that she would be gone by then, and she didn't plan on staying there for the rest of her life. So, I think if she kind of played her cards right, then maybe he would have just been like, oh, okay, you're doing all right, you can go, or something. I'm not sure. But I think he possibly would have recognised her given more time. So it's a good job that she got out of there when she did, because she could be dead right now. No. So
we wouldn't want to see that. Definitely not. Definitely not. And what was it like? You said what it's like working with Charles Dance. So what did you learn from working with people like Charles and Sean Bean as well, Michelle Furley?
It sounds weird. It's kind of like the ability to just incorporate props, which just sounds like what? But it does make a complete difference, like how natural it is, and especially with the language on Game of Thrones, it's not. You don't feel like you'd naturally say that, and saying father and mother, and I'm just like, that's my mum, it's my dad, paps. So it's kind of, the language and stuff makes it feel a lot less natural anyway, and then to incorporate your props and just be able to relax on camera then makes it feel a lot more believable, I think, and especially in this world, which is kind of, like a fantasy world, so you don't. There's not much realism, I guess. So it's, that is kind of an element that I've learned from a lot of actors to kind of make it look more natural and feel more natural. And that's important, I think.
I wanted to ask you about Melisandre, because she said that she sees darkness in you, didn't she? What do you think about that?
I think that's kind of a bit of a wake-up call to Arya, and she's already heard these people like Valar, saying Valar Morghulis and Valar Dohaeris, and I think she realizes, oh, there's more to this world than I originally thought. And now Melisandre's coming out with these things, and she kind of is just like, oh, everything she says is rubbish, and tries not to believe it. But then, you know, when she's really saying something to you and saying, you know, eyes will shut forever, it's kind of like, oh, you know. And it could just be all rubbish, but still, it does make you think. And yeah, it was an intense scene as well. Like, Carice grabbed my chin, and like I couldn't see any of the camera or anything. We were just like looking into each other's eyes, and I was like, oh, it kind of gave me chills a little bit, and it was yeah, it was kind of scary. And she like didn't blink as well, and that was kind of odd. Like, I was like, when are you going to blink? And then sometimes I was just staring at her. I was like, when is she going to blink? Oh, wait, get back into the scene, And yeah, but it was, I remember reading it and being a bit like, whoa, you know, this is a new thing to Arya. And yeah, it's kind of chilling, I think.